Hello and welcome to Critical Rollback, Fun Summer Breeze Edition.
Episode 2, Stop Making Freud Stronger. We will be covering Episode 2 of Exandria Unlimited Calamity today, Bitterness and Dread.
As a personalized call-out, apparently.
I'm right, and you know it.
I'm not arguing, I'm just, pointing that out.
Yeah, this is a bit where, remember how last time I was saying I really, really like Xerxes, and I think Liz did a great job with him? This is not, in spite of this, but this is the bit that kind of makes me put my head in my hand forever.
This is the bit that got us briefly talking about accidental incest vibes and other properties. Of my dude, my guy, if you think this reads as paternal.
We just pulled that before the content warnings.
The people know what they're getting into here.
Hold on. Hello, this is Future Lily, back with the content warnings for Episode 2 of Exandria Unlimited Calamity, Bitterness and Dread, aka Stop Making Freud Stronger. We have the general content warning on the series for discussion of the impending and present apocalypse, continuing discussion of mutilation, extreme religious practices related to that mutation, and suggestion of suicide. We have mind and memory magic. We have some light discussion of real life, fairly mild injury that happened to, me. It's fine. I'm fine. Just so you know. And more seriously, we have some discussion of rape, not in terms of graphic violence, but as a legal thing and as part of a discussion of linguistics, and also passing mention of connections to rampant Terfism in British law. Once again, fuck Terfs. We also have an extremely brief mention of child abuse that we veer off of very, very quickly, but is still present. We managed to avoid any spoilers, although I got very close to spoiling Rusty Quill Gaming at one point. And I do believe that's all. Thank you. Enjoy the episode. Pre-show, because we forgot to do this last time.
Oh yeah.
This aired on June 2nd of 2022, yes?
Yes, right now it's July 15th of 2023.
So it's been a little over a year. Brennan talks for just a little bit longer this time, meaning about 10 extra seconds, because he is still used to doing very limited time things. But he does not jump scare Marisha this time, which is an improvement.
Yeah, he prepares her by saying he's going to talk longer, then taking a couple of seconds, and then throwing it to her.
We get the announcement of A Familiar Problem, the one-page RPG, which, if I remember correctly, when they did the live play for it, wasn't Bob the Drag Queen on?
I don't know.
Oh, Sprinkle's Incredible Journey. That's
wasn't really for me.
Oh no, I tried to watch it, and I did not watch it.
Yeah, same.
Who was on it? No, Heidi in Closet. I was wrong. To be fair, I'm not in the drag scene at all. I just got really excited because D&D Dimension 20 is currently doing Dungeons and Drag Queens, which while I am not watching that because I am busy doing a grad program and also this podcast and also writing and also and have been watching exactly one TTRPG campaign lately. I do think that is a very cool campaign. I was just hoping maybe they had a cast member in common, but no, that's just I might need to get tested for face blindness kicking in.
Do you know if Matt is on that? Because I think he's really into drag queens and I think he deserves that.
On Dungeons and Drag Queens? No.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
He was, however, there for Sprinkle's incredible journey, which has nothing to do with EXU. Despite, actually, airing, now I'm looking at it, 20 days after the episode we are discussing.
Huh.
Which is what we call whiplash.
No kidding.
And speaking of drag, Sam is wearing a very tight leopard print, and I'd forgotten about that, and I wish to forget about it again.
Yeah, what did this have, like, a point?
I think he was just trying to loquacious it up.
I mean, respect.
The sparkly eyebrows are very fun. And here's the thing. I am happy for him doing that, and if he wants to wear tight leotardy leopardy things, that's good for him. I will say 90% of my objection is, well, actually, no, that's not right. Hold on. A sizable proportion of my objection is to being a ballerina and knowing leotards are not that comfortable.
They are not.
Outfits. I love Luis's jacket. I do love a jacket in general. That one's very cool. Once again...
It's also very in character. They have... Like, I think this didn't cause him to be read a certain way, but it certainly didn't deter anyone from reading
which
it a
certain way do we mean? Oh, is this the
leather jacket from what I can tell.
Is this the leather daddy thing?
More the daddy than the leather daddy thing,
okay,
but
fair
sure.
Enough. I was more, like, looking and going, oh, it's like having Nines back, but yeah, that's fair. Keep in mind, no. This is a Patreon, this is a reference to a Patreon exclusive thing, so go support their Patreon.
We have one. You get more conversation there.
Yes. I love Lou's earrings. They're awesome. They're also in character.
They are. Like, with the earrings and the way he wore his hair this episode, that looked like kind of dragony and shiny, and it worked for him.
And Marisha's jacket, and honestly, a Bria Stripey shirt. It's good. It's good.
Yeah,
everyone's getting into it.
They all look good.
And none for you, Travis Pye.
Travis has a shirt that he can pull over his head, and that's honestly all he needs.
He does not take his shirt off during this episode, just to be clear. No nipples on Twitch.
No nipples on Twitch, but he does vanish into the shirt.
Oh, that's what you meant. He can turtle.
Yes.
Travis took the merch announcements this time with the new Pride shirt with the Caduceus quote, which I love.
Yes. Yes. I own a Pride shirt with the original quote, and I might be entitled to financial compensation. Or at least I feel like I should be. For reasons we're not going to get into.
We cut back to Brennan, who gives us a very quick recap, and then Lou, Marisha, and Bria do a little seated wiggle. It's very cute. We all giggle about Bolo because she's still awesome.
Except for Bria, who does not like her.
This is true. And then we head back into the still very, very cool intro.
You can never go wrong with stained glass. Just never.
That one post on Tumblr that's like, I don't agree with Catholicism, but the aesthetic fucks.
Yep.
Yeah. But they really went off with the stained glass is how I think it actually goes, but I don't remember. Anyway.
Yeah, I think the only stained glass that goes harder than this are the Kingdom Hearts ones with the princesses. Those go hard too.
Fun. All right. Synopsis. Do you want to start or should I?
I don't care.
Okay. We pick up exactly where we left off. Sarah stands in front of the body of the mutilated human beside the mirror that Vespin Chloris cracked. Investigation of the Hodmadad reveals a lack of an arcane engine, and a medicine check of the corpse reveals magic cancer. So Sarah goes looking for Xerxes, only to be interrupted by a call. His son, Kier, snitching on his big sister sneaking out.
We cut over to Loquacious, Xerxes, and inside-checking Purvan. Xerxes thinks he's scared. Loquacious thinks Purvan is out of information. With that information in hand, Loquacious goes after Nidus, who reaches the Golden Scythe, and asks Alessander for 4 automatons. The only remaining option is the prototypes, the taxmen, probably paid for with taxpayer money, which were meant to be kept mint, as they were made for the city. We learn that all automaton engines are kept in the Golden Scythe, and watch as Nidus activates 4 12-foot-tall killing machines, and gets a porter to send him down to the heart, and arranges for the porter to have her memory wiped by Pasha.
Back at the party, Loquacious tells the party his adventuring party what he's learned, as does Sarah. They conclude that the Wild Mother's embrace refers to landfall, and Loquacious says they should tell no one and keep everything calm. The party goes with this and points out that they need Laren for any decisions, especially since it's her job to land the city. I am so sorry for the amount of technical jargon you are about to have to read. Oh wait, no, that's the next one down. It's really awful, so go for it.
That's just going to be the entire episode, I believe. Laren is at the main arcane engine of Avalier with a machine she has built called the Astral Layrite. She has a locket from Evandrin, and we learn that she is connected to how he quite literally faded out of existence. Nidus' arrival with the taxman brings her back to the present, and she reveals her plan to move the entire city to the celestial plane. She activates the Astral Layrite, and with the help of the taxman, and Nidus becomes the first person to ever survive declaring a pillar of light beautiful as the ley line becomes visible. Laren receives confirmation that she has successfully moved her miniature model of the city to the celestial plane, takes Evandrin's locket in her hands, and says it was worth it.
Alarms interrupt their celebration, showing that Laren just used 8% of the city's power, and that the Arboreal Calyx, an engine which Laren has specifically never worked on, accounted for almost all of that. Part of the Pact of Crown and Throne made with the Gaudrashari, who founded Toromunda, which then split into Cathmoira and Avalier, was that Avalier would gather raw magical ether and funnel it back into the land through the mountain where the gods sealed the Emperor of Fire and the Empress of Earth. The replenishment is not a great act of charity, but an obligation. 20% of the city's magic has to go to the original agreement. Laren immediately decides that the Calyx has got to go. But after learning that the Calyx was installed after the ascension of the Raven Queen as part of an update to that agreement, Laren and Nidus decide they need to go to see Portia.
Xerxes catches up to them and finds Nidus and Laren looking shifty and rumpled. Ooh. Laren with Evandrin's locket in her hand and comforts her, misinterpreting the source of her distress and distracted by Nidus' sheer force of personality.
Laren tells Paisha and co. that the Layrite works, explains what it is to the party, and claims that the only thing separating gods and humans is that they're on the celestial plane. Loquacious has some doubts, is irritated that he wasn't included, and says Laren has no idea what secrets he's kept for her. Sarah has some concerns about the Vespin problem and how this might overlap with what Laren is doing, and others agree that all of the recent events are building up to something. Paisha also explains that incredible things are possible on the apogee solstice, which she learned from the woman who eventually became the Raven Queen.
After a rousing speech from Xerxes that was tangentially related to the issue at hand, the party investigates the corpse, and Xerxes discovers that the magical cancer means that the corpse previously was something called a knauth, amazing word, which is when the gods hollow a devotee and make them a puppet, placing a worshipper of the betrayers on the material plane for the first time since the schism, and then he became this riddled with growth within 2 weeks. Loquacious concludes a plot is afoot, catching up to the rest of them, and Paisha realizes this guy was wearing a hot Medot suit to get in.
Several loud bangs startle the party. It's the fireworks extravaganza. We go to break with the players yelling in protest and Marisha threatening to cancel the series. Back from break?
We come back from the break. We hear something about tax evasion, I think.
Yes.
And then Paisha checks Lucretia Hollow's present and finds cryptic words and a little vial of poison with a note telling her she might find this an easier way out. Scrying on Lucretia, right? Does not work, so they go to talk to Madaraglif, who is like poor little Meow Meow, who has had her memory modified by Micah Cormorant to forget Lucretia attempting to kill Purvan, whose death Xerxes prevented by going to talk to him.
The party splits, with a telepathic bond allowing them to communicate, and we follow Sarat and Loquacious as they dig through the tome's archives. They find Elena Tuveris' interviews with Vespin Clores, where he states that replication of the Raven Queen's ritual is inevitable, but in the direction of dethroning a betrayer to get more people on the side of the mortals, which isn't a bad plan except for the wizard hubris.
Yeah.
In the background of another interview, they find Loris, Lucretia, and Vespin talking about why it's difficult to repeat the Raven Queen's ritual. Vespin tells them the City of Crowns, i.e. Avalier, bears the Tree of Names, which Serret recognizes as part of the arboreal calyx. This, in turn, reminds Xerxes of the flowers that fell on Evandrin in his dream, but the files on Evandrin are empty, and Elena was dismissed years ago, and Loquacious lies about not knowing where her files are.
Laren and Paisha, meanwhile, go to the Magisterium to talk to Micah Cormorant. Finding his door locked, Laren animates a statue and has it knock down the door. Then, with a quick that way from Paisha, Laren tosses a "to whom it may concern" fireball, and follows up by killing him with her construct. Then they call Xerxes to help clean up their mess, although he can't, because the Magister is way too dead for him.
While they wait, they discover Micah has been bringing people into the city via teleportation circles that have been broken away from the Porters Guild and defaced with Infernal. He has also been researching the Calyx and the Pact of Crown and Throne. They find correspondence with the Druids dating from the creation of the Calyx, stating that the Druids don't trust Avalier to be responsible, and so cannot tell them what the tree does.
Which is the best call anyone has made in this entire thing, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to the Hall of Prophecy, home to clerics who work with the divine without needing gods. Allegedly. Loris has asked that everyone stay out since he stepped in after the previous leader, the apprentice he'd invited Paisha to replace, argued with him, broke her staff, and got the hell out of Avalier. About 2 weeks ago, all the prophets, starting with one called Carwin, went mad and began to give false prophecies, at the same time as the Knauth was made.
This is, by the way, not a connection they made within the episode, as far as I'm aware. That 2-week time frame. But you're welcome.
It's 2 weeks since Vespin Chloris, 2 weeks since the Knauth, 2 weeks since they've gone bad, huh?
So, Xerxes goes in to check on Carwin, and, in the reflection in a little decorative waterfall, sees a bleeding and dying Asmodeus. He steps through and heals him.
Like you do.
Asmodeus says he's the Lord of Lies because that was what was left when he got to the table. And when Xerxes looks at him, he sees a resemblance to Evandrin because, direct quote, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and Asmodeus is supposed to be the most beautiful of them. Xerxes then, another direct quote, with the utmost care, end quote, dresses Asmodeus' wounds and tells him he'll know kindness when he hasn't for ages, and Asmodeus asks what he wants in return.
Asmodeus says he and the gods arrived at a young world and began to create, and Xerxes asked him to kneel with him and tell him everything. Xerxes uses it to cast the ceremony of atonement on him. Asmodeus says he created lies to make the gifts of honesty and sacrifice matter, and that giving mortals magic was an overreach. Their vows were to the primordials, and that he should not be called a betrayer. He's very normal about this. Xerxes urges him to remember him and not take his pain out on humans when he comes to the material plane, and if he does, he will help Asmodeus confront the prime deities. Asmodeus promises not to forget him. He also says Xerxes' biggest flaw is that he's too trusting, and he's being used, but not by him.
Asmodeus switches to asking where they are, and, hearing that they are in Avalier, comments that the continent of Dominus was the smile on the face of Exandria and his favorite, then asks what happened to Evandrin. Xerxes explains, and Asmodeus hints that the tree is too... He says Avalier is full of lies, then casts protection from good and evil, interrupting the atonement. Xerxes, leaving, tells Asmodeus to come and find him.
He's also protected from Fae, which Loquacious in particular takes offense to.
This is a good point.
In the real world, Nidus received the prophecy that was deemed false, which shakes him. He hides his concern, and the Ring of Brass regroups. Laren gets a call from her assistant helmswoman, who she hears die on the line, and they go charging to the labyrinth in case of sabotage to the landing, only to run into Lucretia Hollow and end with an initiative roll and a rooftop ambush. And that's where the episode ends.
With a lot of shouting.
Oh yeah.
Alright.
Shouting, a cliffhanger.
I personally am happy with the order of talking points we have laid out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is good too.
I will say that Lily teaches Jana a new word. Wound up in the wrong section. I'm going to move that.
Yeah, no, I added a section and then this was somehow in there.
Popped it in where it belongs. We'll get to that.
At the bottom? What? Oh, no. Oh, that was part of a section.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with Magiscience and magical dystopia.
Yes, we're not quite done with the disturbing world building to this yet. And in this episode we learn a little bit about the Hadamedots and whatever else runs around and how stuff works. I don't actually know what your first point means, actually.
Hi. Okay, so you can hear me.
Is that Sarat? I can hear you.
Yes, Sarat. Yes, Sarat recognizes Vespin. I want to look back to the Hadamadot thing real quick. The Hadamedots that they are putting in people's homes have their engines elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's...
Let's just suggest that for a minute.
You know how, like, modern cars have, like, AC and certain radio channels and other functionalities that you can, like, unlock for subscription service or something?
It's bullshit. God.
It is. This feels similar somehow.
In every campaign Brennan ever runs, the real evil is capitalism.
That is very good of him.
He recognized... so the first point of this was, Sarat recognizes Vespin because Avalir's sight wardens record the image and arcane mark of every important arcanist they encounter, which is like, oh, that sounds like a really smart idea. Wait a minute. Like, on the...
Yeah, they just have a registry of every
Now, on the one hand...
Oh?
This is like registering people who want to own handguns.
Woof, we are getting to some territory.
Because they said they said important arcanist. They didn't say every schmuck who can cast a cantrip.
So it's also an accomplishment?
They said people who specifically went and learned how to do spells that can level a town square. Or a city block, depending on who you're talking about. So, like, on the one hand, I would also like to know who in the hell could come in and blow things up. On the other hand, that's creepy. That's a surveillance thing that I
mean, anything. The real creepy thing is that he just has this memorized so well that he immediately recalls it.
I don't remember if he had to roll for it, but yikes.
I mean, like, having a registry of people in general is like something that is for organizational stuff, whatever. Like, for example, everyone here has to register where they live with the state, so you can get stuff like your voting invitation. No registering, re-registering for some sort of party or whatever goes on in the US. We just get that because we live here and have the right...
for me, I'm a teacher. I'm fingerprinted. There's, like, registry and stuff, and that's for public
I'm
safety.
Fingerprinted, too. I entered the US per airplane. That's what I consider creepy, by the way, that they fingerprint me at the airport.
Yeah. Fingerprinting someone to let them be around children is not Fingerprinting someone to let them be around children is not a bad idea. I'm talking about the fact that I have to get a background check to teach.
I have to get a background check to work for the state, even though I already had to get a background check to be educated by the state to be a lawyer, and I had to get a background check for the internships I had to do to get the first thing on the step to becoming a lawyer, so I had to apply for 3 background checks to be handed in over the course of my education, and by now people should know, or at least be able to infer, that I have not committed crimes or I wouldn't have gotten this far, but hey.
Well, you might have committed a crime in the intervening time. You clearly didn't, but anyway. Magiscience.
So...
I think the distinction between what Singorn does and what Laren is trying to do is... like, fly around anywhere versus I go here, I go to this other place. I go here, I go to this other place. And the places are fixed.
Yeah, Singorn goes to this one specific spot in the Feywild when it's necessary. Or back to, to Exandria when they feel like
What happens when you... like, what happens if there's a thing there?
It moves or it doesn't.
Glad you got that one. Like, there were 2 places that could go, and one of those was that joke, and the other one was, I don't know. Actually talking about the mechanics of teleportation, I guess. But no.
I mean, I think also, while they're doing this and they're like, oh my god, something that has never been done before, you sit there and go like, yeah, but if enough people hold hands and cast plane shift, but I suppose that would only get the population in another plane and not the entire city.
The buildings and the infrastructure and the stuff.
Yeah. I mean, also question, do we know that these ley lines and the environmental stuff that is, from what I recall, necessary to keep the whole operation going, would exist in different planes?
The entire point of the astral ley rite was to take one of the ley lines and basically anchor it to the city. So, like, you know that gif of Gromit putting down train tracks in front of his train car? I picture it like that.
Yeah, that sounds very much like what they're trying. Also, rich of them to assume they just go to another place as a flying city and aren't attacked on sight.
Don't land in Archeron. Archeron?
Don't land in the actual hells.
Archeron is...
That doesn't go well.
Right above the hells. It is the plane of eternal combat.
Fun! Something tells me that the whole, we don't deal with weather thing also wouldn't work in, like, Pandemonium?
Mm-hmm. There's a reason she targeted the upper planes.
Yeah, I mean, what they're going for is the plane of, like, Palor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was chill. There's still a bunch of trees who could throw apples at you or something.
Oh no!
But that was chill.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Like, going to the Feywild would have gone weird, maybe, but ultimately fine, probably. Mm. I mean, the Feywild is already weird. Bunch of other planes you could have gone to and ended up at that would not be that chill about a flying city in their midst.
Perhaps not the Shadowfell.
Yeah.
Wait, when was Vecna's first attempt?
Around-ish? I think shortly after this.
I don't remember if he was pre or post. If he was pre or post.
I think it was
post Vespin.
During Calamity.
When did he?
I think it was post Vespin during the Calamity before the Divine Gate stuff. I looked this up 2 weeks ago. Hold on. I don't remember either.
A century before the Calamity, so he was 100 years ago.
Okay. So it was 20 years after Raven Mommy.
Yeah. Thank you. Critical Role Mirahe's wiki that is not on a fandom wiki and therefore is much better at not being an ad-riddled piece of shit for having this information. It's handy.
It's handy. Also, while we're at this, first of all, Nida's reaction to this was hilarious. And everyone going like, the visuals are really loud, and nobody else has survived yelling this about a pillar of light before. Beauteous. Like, amazing.
Beauteous. And very true.
But, yes, no words to describe it. They should have sent a poet, whatever. I feel like this is a very good point with him and Larry just being over the moon to bring up the quote that the field of cancer research, for example, is full of a lot of mice that were cured of cancer. Because they're saying this is gonna work because they sent, like, a model there?
Yeah, that's...
It's not something... I'm not sure that's transferable on a large scale.
I think they set it up to be aware of, like... I think they set it up so that we would look at this as an audience and go, this is very cool, but I am concerned. So I think this is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Yeah. But, like, also, Laren.
Yeah.
Laren. Your sample size is...
Laren.
Not good.
Nope. Do you have a control group?
Yeah, the control group is everything that she didn't send through the flippity gibbet.
Cool.
I'm not concerned about her lack of a control group. I'm extremely concerned about replicability? Nope.
Replicability, I think, yes. Replicability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole thing about just declaring a prophecy false freaks me out so much. Like, this is Who
gets to decide that?
Well, I mean, this is very, very, like, clearly a propaganda commentary. This is very clearly related to certain political figures and certain phrases that we now, unfortunately, just have in our vernacular forever. Or rather, for the next little chunk of time. Mm-hmm. Although it does make it really handy for trying to explain this to your students, which I did do because that was our last project and it was really fun. But Yikes. Like, why bother having a Hall of Prophecy? Just have a Hall of Propaganda. Oh, wait, you do. That's loquacious.
Yeah, I think that's their actual job, so it's more like writing horoscope, and when you actually get an actual prophecy, oh, you're saying something that doesn't fit what we think is going to happen? You must be mad.
Yeah, oh yeah, not only that.
Just,
it's not just the prophecy's wrong, and you're all crazy, which is...
Yep,
oh,
you're crazy for even thinking that.
Oh, boy.
Always sign of a healthy society. I will also say that the oracles are divine, but without a god.
Which technically Fresh Cut Grass was doing at the beginning of Campaign 3.
Yeah. But also they're getting overruled by the head of the College of Enchantment of the city? No, not enchantment, divination. So that one makes sense, but also they get overruled by a wizard, which is very telling about the society, that these silly little theologians, oh, they wouldn't know what they're doing. I, a wizard, have declared that your divine visions are wrong. It is on point.
Yep.
Gotta give him that.
Yep.
Yep.
The whole bit about grabbing porters and getting them to do the job, and it's like, and we're just going to use memory magic. Yikes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also, like, kind of freaked out by porters, like, these people as a method of transportation, which I understand what they're there for, but all of these people are, like, level 14, I got there, level 14 magic users. You can cast your own dimension doors. I mean, it's economic not to, when you have to consider spell slots for fight scenes.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is a really cool way of playing with the player's natural inclination not to use any more spells than they actually have to, plus a time limit to get them to really use that word and dig into the nasty of it all. True,
but it also does make you wonder, who are these porters?
Yes.
This should be the most powerful guild in the city,
okay,
right?
There's a thing, and we're going to talk about this when it comes up with another character later. Not yet. But remember how Halas had a spell called Trap the Soul? No, you didn't want... That's a Campaign 2 thing, and the less said about that, the better. Basically, there is some evidence that in pre-Calamity Exandria, there's basically older edition D&D stuff. This would arguably make Vax's Boots of Haste a pre-Calamity artifact. We never get that particular bit of information, but I'm choosing to believe that now, because those were ported over from Pathfinder, as were some other things.
Was Purvan wearing them? Wait,
no,
he didn't get them from
very notably
Purvan,
did not have, but maybe they dug them up from...
He had boots,
I don't remember whether we ever found out where the Boots of Haste came from, but the point of this is in older editions, specific, and in Pathfinder, where CR started, it was actually way more possible to just prepare a stupid number of castings of a teleport spell. And I think the porters are functioning more like that than on 5e class levels and spell slots. Because it makes the teleportation way more feasible, and it reflects what we know already about the way the magic was working, and I just think that's super cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That is cool. I am a little disturbed that these are just people that you grab.
Yes.
Is this an entry-level position? Do you learn Dimension Door and then you have to work there a couple of years and then you learn another spell and can do cooler stuff? If your mind hasn't been completely addled by the constant forgetting about where you had to port people to.
Yeah, is there a cumulative effect to modify memory spells?
There should be.
There really should be.
I mean, at some point...
It would be really hard to build mechanically, because you'd have to know what everyone's number was all the time.
But But, just logically,
cool.
if people just dig around in your head enough, they should also start bumping against each other up there, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was fake, this wasn't fake, we can make this fake, I'm gonna fake this bit, oh, somebody got here before me, I'm going to re-fake this, thank you very much.
I don't like the fake someone else put in, so I'm gonna put in a different thing. I'm going to unfake this one thing, but there's a domino effect where this person's now going to start questioning all the... Oh, God.
And in comes with the metal folding chair, the one cleric with greater restoration, and suddenly everything is undone.
I think it only targets one memory at a time.
Damn it!
Oh god, I don't know. Also,
but
Mike Cormorant is level 16 with a +3 to intelligence. Sorry, level 11 with a +3 to intelligence. What the fuck?
I was about to ask if we know whether he's a wizard, but also if he was any other kind
Wizard
of
of the Magisterium, and Brennan specifically says evocation evoker.
Right, and then Abria's like, oh, everybody can cast Fireball, bitch, which she is very right about.
Evokers are just wannabe sorcerers, let's be real.
Yeah.
Their main thing is literally just careful spell.
And if he had any other spell, if he was any other kind of spellcaster and had a 16 in his primary spellcasting ability at level 11, he would also be built wrong. Like, this would be just as embarrassing.
Look, I'm like an 18 at this level. Not embarrassing.
18 is fine. Sometimes that's how the dice go. Sometimes some some feats were just more useful than the ability score increase. That's fine. A 16?
But I do side-eye. And here's the thing. I'm pretty sure Fresh Cut Grass only has a 16 wisdom currently, and they're level 10. So, Sam? Get good.
We can only repeat this very often. I will... I am now devoted to actually catching up with Campaign 3 because they have fulfilled the one condition I had for that. One condition. But I have caught up to the fact that Sam might be worse at healing than we thought he would be.
Yeah, no, he's not. We saw him as Scanlan. He's not good at this.
I thought he was actually very good at that at Scanlan, but
he was good at patching up where needed. He's not good at being the primary healer. It's almost like it's really fucking stressful. And
it is.
Look, I'm sure that he and Laura had conversations about the amount of teasing that was okay.
Sure. However,
I still want to put cottage cheese in all his shoes.
Mm-hmm. However,
that is a me thing. That is not a reflection on him as a person.
Has she teased him back? Has she been absolutely insufferable about this back at him?
No.
That is too good of her.
That is way too good. I mean, she has razzed him a little bit, but not that much.
But it was like a constant joke.
Abria did get his entire ass.
Thank you.
By healing more than he has in the whole campaign previously. Oh,
I saw that.
By bringing in her
and she wasn't even divorced from him at that time.
Her life cleric. Oh. God. Just his whole entire ass. Anyway,
we're getting off track, but also sort of on track because we are talking clerics.
We are talking clerics. Oh. Clerics are fun.
Yeah, I think this is where we have to argue. I mean, not argue.
Oh, yes. Are we going to talk theology?
It's what you put on the list.
It's up next. Okay. Other people remember the Raven Queen as immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Lycretia Hollow, for people who don't get the notes, brackets, derogatory, remembers her. Paisha had her as a teacher. She did not wipe herself from everyone's memory. That was not the mechanic. The mechanic was that she sacrificed her name.
Yep.
This is why Purvan Scale asks to be referred to as champion, because he is supposed to be symbolically doing the same thing, and why I don't particularly refer to that thing what's in the orb right now in C3, at the thing that Vax turned into, as Vax. Because he's not Vax anymore, he's the champion.
I mean, he's also very mushroomy from what I recall.
Yes, and also he has enough of Vax left in him to give a shit about Keyleth, which, isn't hard. That was basically half of Vax's personality towards the end.
Has he stopped sending her creepy birds yet, though?
Well, he's in an orb, so it's kind of hard for him to do.
Okay. Well, that's something.
But the whole thing is that it costs a name for a name.
Yeah.
Okay, what the hell is the wrong rant?
Okay.
I'm sorry about my pronunciation.
That was actually pretty good. It's Rabenmutter. The only thing wrong is the R, and R's are weird between languages. Okay, so...
Yeah, I'm from an area with a particularly weird R. You're very glad I don't have that accent.
Okay. Yeah, let's start with that. This was actually probably featured on on one of the other patron bits, but without the context. Rabenmutter, which means raven mother, is a term...
Oh! That makes sense.
Is a term that Martin Luther himself, like the guy in the 1500s with the 75 reasons you suck, 95 reasons you suck. I know my history. That guy was not the best at ornithology, which is the study of birds. That's where I got the joke from, at least.
You're right.
And he observed ravens abandoning their children in the wild. And so he was like, oh, look at them, they are horrible mothers, I'm going to call them raven mothers. So Rabenmutter, to this day, in German, is a word we use for bad mothers who abandon their children. Which beautifully leads to the rest of my point. Which is why I'm repeating the story here. Okay, so I was honestly fully working under the assumption that this was canon. It is explicitly denied in this episode.
It's explicitly, at the table. I don't give a shit what Marisha says in whatever talkback show they have.
No, she also said that she didn't put any thought into who the mom was.
She said it at the table.
That's what she said on this table. She just said no when everyone was like, huh? Mother? But the mom came out first. And just...
Yeah, but it was a joke.
Was it a joke, or was Freud in the room with us?
It does make this episode title really, really strong. I don't believe for a moment that was her mom. Mostly because I feel like that is not Marisha's style.
But would it be Laura's style?
Yes. It's entirely possible that in an earlier draft of the character, this was true. I don't think it's true in the version that we have at the table.
Alright.
Is that a fair thing to say?
I want to make more points about this.
Like, are we good with this?
I am not trying to convince you, I'm just trying to make my point. Because you are correct, of course, that Marisha said at the table, no, and But if we disregard that with the information we have, and other outside information is that her name pops up on the Raven Queen stained glass thing, which had me go, oh, you see? The whole part where they don't really think about her mom, in the same as they don't recall the Raven Queen's name, because if you recalled family relations there, you would know part of the name. Poor Crow, by the way.
I kind of...
name, but hey.
Okay, we're really going to justify the living hell out of the memory magic content warning on this, and also disprove that repeated modify memories work your brain. Yeah. I think Eldemir just fully yoinked. Also possible. And I do actually think we get stuff to that effect in episode 4, which we'll talk about when we get there.
Okay. And
But no, I think it is really interesting, and it is a fun theory.
My final point to this is that... Yes. Okay, so your dad was that bitch who broke reality, basically, lifted a city into the sky, put his 100-feet statue in there, and now...
Breaking reality was Delilah.
This also broke the rules of what was possible, okay? This is close enough. And he was now basically a god walking upon men. What are you, as his girl boss daughter, to do to supersede that?
That would be very, very interesting.
How about becoming a literal god? And now you have been sort of... You are the granddaughter of the guy who was like a god of the city, and...
Becoming a literal god, though, in a pretty solid fuck you to Wizard Society, which means either... No, this is not the thing. Or if you are onto something, and if we are yes-anding your theory, it was fuck you, Dad, I'm not following in your footsteps.
Yes. First in the line, second in the line. So your grandfather is like wizard god here, and you have very strange, weird personal bad feelings about that one mortal who ascended to godhood. So what are you, girl boss granddaughter, to do here? Fuck all y'all, divinity is no meaningless, we're all gods and all going to the god plane, woot!
To be fair, we're all going to the god plane was not, that was Laren.
They made this up together. Didn't they?
No. Peisha knew about it. This is Laren's baby.
Laren's baby to actually get it done, but Peisha was part of the conspiracy to get there.
Yes, but she doesn't talk about it with anything even approaching the same...
She talks about it with disdain for the gods.
Yes, I don't think that was her.
Well, to me, this reads like a logical 1-2 progression.
Fair. We've already talked about the fact that they have clerics without gods, which is nifty. Shouting out Rusty Quill, again, get the Patreon. Zolf from that is, he ends up playing with what you can be a cleric to in some really interesting ways, and I'm not going to expand on to avoid spoilers. Mm-hmm. If you like this, go listen to Rusty Quill Gaming. It's cool.
I mean, arguably, we've also had interesting variations on what you can be a cleric to within Critical Role.
True.
What is Vesh?
To an Archfey.
Yeah, and who is the actual god here? Is it Artagan or is it Jester? I'm going down on the Jester side of things, but hey.
I think that for right now, in terms of like source of power, it was Artagan, but I do think that Jester is going to whoops-a-daisy her. I have this little pet theory that
yes?
Jester is going to fully whoops-a-daisy into becoming a god at some point.
I mean, if she's not already there yet.
I think it would be just wonderful, and I love it, and
yes.
It would make me happy.
Yes. Though also...
She deserves this.
She does. She deserves everything. But also, you could also see this from a way of, the, Atheism 101 beginner's question of, can God create a rock that he himself cannot lift? I think Jester is that rock in this scenario.
Hey! Good for her.
Good for her.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I'm aware I am asking this of a lawyer. I'm doing this on purpose.
Yes.
Do you think that there is an argument in Exandrian theology that's about the obligations and oaths inherent in the creation of another living being? And I don't mean, like, physically, like, giving birth. I mean, like, the creation of a species.
I mean, they do keep on creating life
Basically, the idea of all claims not being equal to the claim of the theoretical, like, metaphorical child to expect protection from the metaphorical parent would outweigh, sure, we'll share this planet. Not in the sense, because if I remember correctly, and I can look this up, the actual agreement was, we will share the planet, not, we will share the planet, and also you can destroy all our stuff.
Yeah.
And the actual point of contention in that, over the schism, seems to be, no smashy my humans.
Yeah, from what I understand, that is true. Like, whether you consider humans property or whether you consider, there's a fun figure in, at least German, but probably most criminal law, of an obligation to protect, where you get, like, a case, where you, where, like, a tiger broke loose at the zoo and he's coming for your child and your child's friend who you have both taken to the zoo. So, which child do you save from the tiger? The answer is your own, because you have a higher duty of protection to your own child. And if you abandon that for the other, on the first layer of the legal analysis of this, you would actually fulfill I have German words for this, I'm not actually that bad at it. You would fulfill the criteria for a crime if you saved the other child and not yours. You would, of course, be justified in that. That's the second layer. There's like, do you fulfill the criteria for a crime? Were you justified in doing so or not? Like, if you act in self-defense, or in situations like this where it's life against life, which we don't do calculations there. We don't weigh life against life. Saving one life is always justified. And then guilt, if you're capable of guilt and whatever. So three things.
In United States law, there is this thing that comes up in tort, which if I remember correctly, I don't remember actually.
Tort is I took a class in tort law that was actually called
it's a civil thing, not a criminal thing.
Someone.
That is the distinction.
Hitting someone's car or whatever.
This is someone, there's someone in my writing server who was talking about this, explaining the puddle baby thought experiment, which is if you were walking by and you see a baby face down in a puddle, and all you have to do is reach over and move it, do you have a duty to save the baby? The answer is only in Vermont.
Oh my god. Really?
Yep.
Okay.
The point of the thought experiment is that, like, for minimal effort and no cost to yourself, do you have an obligation to save this thing? But because most cases aren't that clear...
This explains a lot about your country. It
gets real fucking... Yes, it does. It gets real fucking mushy. But, I just think that, like... I'm coming at this from someone who, like...
Okay.
I myself am not Jewish. However, the only family members outside of my immediate family to whom I ever fucking speak are...
Okay.
Which should tell you a lot about what our dinner conversations sound like when we were all, together for whatever holiday. So I'm very used to, like, very robust debate. Yes, I'm aware. Look, is it probably all sorts of stereotypes that, like, yada yada argument, but, like, also people, the joke about ask two Jews a question, you get 4 opinions.
The same thing goes for lawyers, by the way. What I know about Judaism, I know from Baal, and from what I know from Baal, the entire religion is based on discussion.
Yes, yeah, like so we're like that. The point, the point of my whole little side thing was so that people listening to this don't go, "What the hell is wrong with you?" It's like, no, this is literally just like my family does this a lot, and like. I just looked at Exandrian theology and went, okay, but what if? What if I just took this and made it significantly less Protestant?
Oh, God.
What if there is a whole bit in Exandrian theology arguing what we actually had a right to expect from the prime deities?
There should be. And
what the whole thing... Like, there really should be. It should be cool. I thought you would appreciate this.
I absolutely appreciate this. I would also like to come back to the baby in a puddle thing. That we do have criminal laws on the record stating that if you can help someone in a situation of danger or... direct danger to their life or physical well-being, and you can help them at no cost to yourself, you are obligated to do so. We just have a criminal law saying that. Like, you're punishable by law if you don't do that.
I really wish we did.
The fact that you don't have that explains a lot about your country. I can't stress this enough.
Yeah, this isn't even a criminal thing. This is a tort thing.
This is, like, close to knowing that you need to possess certain body parts to perform a certain criminal act in UK law that makes you go, oh,
dear.
About all the Terfs.
Oh, shit. I did not. Oh, God.
This just
also, I'm adding this to the content warnings.
We do, but I didn't say the words on purpose, but you understand what I mean. And doesn't this just explain so much? Just in thinking and values? They will explicitly say, we do not share.
Yeah,
but in understanding what
can I say that? Hold on. Can I... Permission to say this on your podcast?
Sure, anytime.
Fuck Terfs.
Fuck Terfs.
Also, more importantly, trans rights are human rights, and I will be moving on at this point because it's kind of sad that we can't talk about trans rights without having to scream about how awful Terfs are. But,
I mean, we will happily scream about how awful Terfs are.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
And how it is
also we should be able to talk about how cool trans people are. And how we need to, like, do better.
And how this definition of a certain crime is stupid, but also explains a certain way of thinking.
Do you want to join me in not kink-shaming Louis Carrazza?
Oh, we can kink-shame him for your first point there, because my dude, my guy.
So the first point that we're looking at is...
We are moving on to the next point in our agenda. It's called Sympathy for the Devil. Just for me putting the timestamps in here. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So he's trying to refer to what something that Xerxes has around his neck, and he says a dog collar. The word he's looking for is dog tag. There is a version of dog collar where it's a nickname for a thing a priest wears, but Xerxes is not wearing one. And literally, I'm just going to read you the point.
I mean,
Get
a
the
dog
Patreon
tag,
people.
A dog tag is just something that soldiers wear, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think the word you want is dog tag, and I'm not going to make a whole talking point that is kink-shaming Luis Carrazzo, but God, I'm tempted.
I mean, if we can kink-shame him for anything, the fact that he thought of collar before tag when that's literally what he was talking about, I think this is where we can go. The rest is a little more debatable, but,
Oh, God. Yeah, no, like, this is fair, like, I want to say midway, like, not at the beginning of the scene with Asmodeus, but it's not that far in. It sure is a thing. This is also where I'm going to go full Milton nerd on you. You see the quotations. I pulled quotations.
Look, I've counter-quoted you.
I'm very excited. So, they talk about Asmodeus as the most beautiful. This is a direct reference to Lucifer, as per the biblical sources, not Milton, as the celestial of light. Lucifer literally means light bearer or light bringer. For instance, luciferase, or luciferase if you're being really, really pedantic about it, is the enzyme in fireflies. This is also why we make jokes about my dog Lucy and her habit of napping in sunbeams. And especially napping in sunbeams with just her butt in the sunbeam, so she has a little firefly butt.
Huh. Well, also why we measure brightness in lux.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
also like
cool.
Saint Lucia with the lights and stuff, that's all a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's nifty.
Just in the name. Yes.
So, like, we get the red horned figure, which is... I don't actually remember where we get that from.
I'm pretty Yeah, I don't really know where the red horned figure is from either.
That'd have been a good thing to Google.
Why devil looked like devil.
So Google this for next time.
Yeah, but, that is, of course, as you've said before, very Protestant of them to picture the devil this way.
Well, no, I don't know if that one's specifically Protestant. It's definitely Christian.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I feel like this does come up in Catholicism.
Probably.
And it is worth mentioning that, like, Milton never describes Lucifer this way.
Well, he probably wasn't the first
Ever.
to describe it, or...
And I'm fairly certain this is not his description in the Divine Comedy either.
Huh.
But no, like, he kind of has to look like this since the whole tiefling thing, and
right.
I'm not mad about it. I might be much
that's Christian, but in like
I might be much madder about
higher,
it
because they didn't come up with Asmodeus.
Yes,
I mean, neither did Gary Gygax, but he's
right.
like the reason, you know.
Correct. I'm going to. I might feel differently about how he looks in the whole tiefling thing when I find the source of why he looks like this.
Mm-hmm.
Considering stuff, but oh boy, we'll get to that later.
But he's also not the daddy of every tiefling, is he? I mean, he might be the daddy of every tiefling, but he's not the dad of every tiefling.
Okay. Fun story. So tieflings come from actual literal copulation with. I can't believe I said that word. Demons and devils.
So demons.
Well, demons are not.
Yes.
Devils. They distinguish in
yes,
D&D.
Demons are not devils, and Asmodeus is only in charge of one of these
So
two.
he's not for all of them. But if you look at the subtypes of tiefling, they all list various devils.
Interesting.
Mammon, Zariel, I think
are technically demons in real world mythology, but whatever.
Oh, is Mammon a demon or a devil? And also, is Mammon one of them? Hold on. I'm pulling this up. I want to know.
One?
I know we have a Zariel tiefling. Huh?
Do we have more than...
I know we have Zariel tieflings because we have one in my D&D campaign. Her name is Legacy. Her grandma is actually, honest to heck, Zariel. And Mammon is one of them. So they have Bazabul. I'm guessing that is one of them. But yeah, Archdevil, Dispater, which is, Dis. But that is, there's Fierna, Glazia, Levistus. Levistus is absolutely a I pulled from something. Mammon. Mephistopheles. Hey, we're getting to him. And Zariel.
Right, so I know Mephistopheles as like the devil, but
yeah, it's a whole thing. But where are we going with this? But
places.
Basically, the default tiefling seems to be tied to Asmodeus. Now, that doesn't mean it's a direct attachment, but it is an interesting thing. But speaking of Asmodeus, this man needs to learn what Death of the Author is. People are allowed to interpret your work differently than how you meant it.
I mean, also, can we just talk about how the word
this is about the lies and
you
deceit
put out
thing.
there, and it should have been really obvious to you that if you give people bad things, they're going to associate you with them giving them bad things. It's my dude, my guy, where did you expect this to go? You invented bad things.
He's a ding-dong.
He's a ding-dong, and
I mean, I honestly think that, like, there's a certain level to his I'm in the right for siding with the primordials with I got pissy because people didn't worship me and give me
pretty
power.
Much. I mean,
so I wanted to... And like, we have that whole conversation about, like, worship as a source of power. So I don't think he gave a dry fuck about, like, what was happening with the primordials. It's like, oh, you guys are useful.
I mean, he can, like, say, especially if you consider that, at least in, like, present-day D&D and stuff, that the devils are the lawful ones, the one who make contracts, the one who are, like, the evil lawyers and stuff. That if you have a contract previously with the primordials, and you want to uphold that contract and thus let them kill other people's property, you can make, like, a legal case for this. But as you said before...
But German law...
exactly. As you said before,
says you can't.
There should honestly be a legal principle about if you bring life to something, if you make something that is capable of suffering, and then whoosh.
I mean, actually, no, technically speaking, we do.
Neat.
We have laws about not abusing your children.
You do?
I mean, they're not very good.
I was about to say.
But, yeah.
America has those?
Look, the other thing is I am a mandated reporter as a teacher. If I think anything's happening to a kid, I have to say something about it, and we try and get them away. So there's a legal precedent here.
All right.
And we're going to move the heck on before this content warning gets even better. Bigger.
Boy, do we got them in here.
Extremely.
I mean, again, it's a dark setting, so we talk about dark stuff. Yeah, so also, like, just, he lays it on extremely thick.
Well, yeah, is this the point about the wounded gazelle routine?
Boy, does he lay it on thick. Like, oh, I've never known kindness.
Oh, God. Yeah, no. Do we want to talk about the thing that Luis said in the wrap-up now?
Go right ahead.
So Luis in the wrap-up said that he was not trying to play this as a romance.
Well, I wouldn't read this as romantically.
Or as a sexual thing.
Well.
Okay, either one. He wasn't trying. He said, it's like, oh, I'm going to get kind of paternal here. And then he said, I don't have kids. And I literally screamed at my computer screen, yeah, dude, we can tell.
We can tell. That's what got us into the accidental incest vibes conversation, because I posted some gifs from actors on Game of Thrones who really don't know how you look at your sister. You single-handedly revived parts of a family that had almost died.
Yeah, God. Which, hachi-machi. Which is how we get to, actually, the next point on this rundown I have, that is, he fucking gave Asmodeus daddy issues? He projected his issues with his son so hard, he gave Asmodeus daddy issues and also managed to, like, daddy kink literal actual Satan.
I mean, if you're gonna do this to anyone,
not
why
literal,
not?
But I mean, okay, actually, no, here's the thing. If it were literal actual Satan, you wouldn't have to give the guy daddy issues.
Yeah, but we don't have the capital God figure in this, who was like, you are my most
we don't have one.
Creation son-ish, and how dare you betray me. Like, we don't have that relationship here, unless you I mean, you could project Palor into this, but that's also projection.
it's also, I don't think, particularly accurate. Like, I was looking at the bit, we'll get there. I was looking at a bit in Milton that has to do with this, and I went, well, this doesn't actually fit. I did pull bits from around it, but not the bit in question. Okay, next point was just, I really thought I'd gotten to the peak of the gay-ass shit in this scene, but Xerxes goes, you made me wrong, and oh my god.
I mean, we can also just...
Gay-ass shit admiring. Gay-ass shit admiring. So
yes.
What were you saying?
We are generally in favor of gay-ass shit. Whether it tested was the literal devil
is... first for the devil.
Like, you can see people, people around the table also get the sexy vibes from this, and are also judging him for it. Yeah.
And most of this is Brennan's fault, I will say, considering the wounded deer vibes and the I look like your husband vibes. Not even vibes, thing.
Yeah.
But good lord.
Brennan escalated it, but he couldn't have yes-anded it if there was nothing to yes-and there, could he?
How many eyebrow waggles were there at Neil with me? Because I didn't count. But I feel like there were a few.
I mean, when he said, I cast ceremony, they immediately went...
With! The word with! The word with is carrying so much weight in that sentence.
Kneel before me. Well... It's good on you.
Which, I mean, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. That's a later episode thing.
I do love how Abria, at the end of the episode, yells at Louise because she was like, I thought I was the one who brings upon the apocalypse, but no, it's you! You literally invited the devil to our doorstep.
They can take turns.
They do take turns.
I love them. But, no, the whole you made me wrong, specifically also as, that, religiously traumatized queer vibes. I should mention, I don't, Luis is queer. It's on his Instagram. I'm perfectly okay talking. It's appropriate. Did you notice?
No, but,
Luis ain't straight. Don't know how he identifies, but Luis ain't straight.
I mean, explains things.
Yeah. I'm really, it's part of the fun for this, because if you're going to have a religiously tormented paladin, then just add that in.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine to do.
For flavor.
Have you watched She-Ra? Okay.
No. I watched some of it and then went, not for me.
So the final season brings about Andy Stevenson's experiences with religious trauma, basically worked into the setting, where it's also and the same theme and the same depiction of the sort of cult that is used to hurt the queer people, also bleeds over, or was already present in Nimona, or at least from what I gathered from the movie. By the way, watch Nimona.
I need to.
Good.
It looks very cool.
So yeah, that theme is could have been present, but do we ever really find out? I don't remember. I legitimately don't remember. Do we ever really find out what his actual issue is with the other gods? Does he think... No,
Asmodeus?
Xerxes.
Or Xerxes. Oh, I think Xerxes just has ye old hubris.
Okay. Ye old hubris, I don't need you.
He never goes, and the gods didn't save my husband, or anything like that. It's just...
just fuck him. Who needs him? I mean, it's kind of amazing that he then...
There's a really fun...
It's amazing that he goes, fuck him, who needs them, and then goes on to flirt with the devil. And it's like,
he does try to actually fuck him. Thank you.
What?
Did you hear what I said?
No.
God damn it! I thought I'd done a good joke. I thought you were laughing. I said he does go on to actually try to fuck them.
Does he?
No! Louis said he wasn't actually trying to fuck Asmodeus.
Well, he didn't make that very clear. Anyways.
No, he did not.
But he then
Speaking of this, spasming in a state of religious ecstasy. Brennan, is that what we're calling it these days?
Yeah, that's sure what's happening. That's just choice of words there, Brennan.
Go ahead. You have a point. Do your point.
The quote is from Marisha, who is like, I feel like I need a cigarette and I don't smoke immediately after that.
Which, I don't think that was one of the times Louise gave someone else at the table a confused look. We will get to that later. That's not in this episode.
I mean, the rest of the table definitely got the same vibes we did. Like,
yeah, okay, like, we're not pulling that
casting wedding, and everyone, and just, yeah, no. The only one not in on the joke was Louise.
This is not just me being a smut writer. Poor buddy. Speaking of this, we're about to have a little side jaunt that's going to come back to one of our earlier content warnings, just a little bit.
Oh yeah, we already talked about this.
So yeah, the idea of spasming in a state of religious ecstasy, the word that comes to mind is, of course, rapture, which is this idea of being overtaken by divine force, which comes from, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to Latin, rapire and raptus, which is to... Were they not too bad?
Fine.
Okay, which is to be seized and carried away, which sounds like exactly what it is.
Yeah, to which I added a story about me in Latin class in 8th grade, because the way I learned this word was when we were told the story about the Sabines, whatever, who were like the Romans' neighbors, and they got invited over for a feast, but Rome had a problem because they were only just dudes from Troy who couldn't really build a civilization by themselves, so they were like, oh hey, fun feast we have, look over there, yoink, we're taking all your women.
Yeah.
And then 14-year-old me
comes up with Persephone. But
pretty much.
14-year-old Jana.
Yeah, same word used. 14-year-old Jana said in Latin class, looked at this word, was like, I've seen this before in English, and it meant something. It didn't mean to take someone or to say, I mean, kind of, but to seize it to carry away, which could be part of it, but and I feel like the way I know makes more sense in context here. Hello? There's a mistake in my Latin book.
I'm guessing we picked up that meaning.
Oh, yeah.
From usages like...
I'm guessing that the original intention behind the word included both.
Yes.
Included one or the intent of the other.
Which is to say, the whole thing about religion and power and sexuality all at the same time is not something that we're making up.
Nope. Always been there.
You cannot get through an English degree without talking way more about sex than you ever want to. I am immune to shame now.
You can weirdly get a law degree without ever having to talk about these types of crimes. I only got Yeah, it's weird. I only got involved...
Can you do criminal law?
Yeah, but criminal law includes murder and stuff, but not weird. This. Because, I don't know, we don't want to scare the children, or... I mean, I think the official reason is that it is a lot more likely somebody in the class will have experienced that, other than having had their family murdered or whatever.
That's not funny.
It's not funny, it's the...
I was laughing because, like, the very bad, because I'm trying to cut the tension joke I made was like, it's way more likely someone in class will have not been murdered, personally.
Exactly. Pretty much, like, yes.
That would be hard.
However, these sorts of crimes actually make up a lot of work in praxis, and when I did the lawyer training thing, I was assigned to a prosecutor who, for some reason, only gave me files that included sexual violence or assault. Which, by the way, going all the way back to the UK laws on that, one is called rape, the other is sexual assault. They have the same punishment, but the word rape has a more violent connotation than sexual assault in everyone's mind, and that's the issue. In German criminal law, we call everything sexual assault, and our word for rape doesn't turn up in the criminal code, and just... committing certain acts are always called this and are always on this level if they include penetration, no matter if you did it with one body part, another body part, one orifice, another orifice, a third orifice, or if you used a thing for anything of this.
Hey, Clementine!
This is your safe word?
Stop.
Sure. Yeah, maybe a good thing we don't learn this in class, huh?
It's more to the point that I think we were trying to not go off on this too hard, and I just want to pull us back.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, fine. Cut this.
But yeah, no. Linguistically, it's
linguistically. So now we are
Muffin
going
time.
to quote stuff at each other, from what I can see.
I made these quotations short, I promise, mostly. So we have a bit from Book 4 of Paradise Lost, which is talking about after Lucifer's made the journey up out of hell and through the abyss and has just arrived over the newly created world for humans. Mm-hmm. And as he's looking down at everything, the narrator describes his, and this is referring to Lucifer, his troubled thoughts and from the bottom stir the hell within him, for within him hell he brings, and round about him, nor from hell one step no more than from himself can fly by change of place. And then the line continues, but that takes us to a colon. Which is, you might have heard a more shorter line to do with the mind is its own place and can make itself a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Very similar idea, although not the exact same thing. Just this idea that, Asmodeus asks, where are we? And my first thought was, are they in hell? Because Asmodeus is here.
Interesting. I mean, he does then talk about how they were in a pressure cooker and then somebody took the lid off.
Except he had to be pulled. In episode 4, end of episode 3 and beginning of episode 4, there is that whole sequence. So I don't think they're actually in hell, but I think they're in this weird pocket domain that is it in and of itself sort of becoming hell just by virtue of his presence. And if you think of hell as a place of torment, he and Xerxes are in a place of torment. And so interesting. It just it made my brain go squeaky. And for the record, I saw that there's a footnote on these lines. I chased down the footnote. It said, hey, it references Dr. Faustus, the one by Marlowe.
Which then got me all ugh.
We're getting there. Mm-hmm. So Marlowe has this bit where, would you like to read Faust or Mephistopheles?
I'm gonna read Faust.
Go ahead.
Where are you damned?
In hell.
How comes it then that thou art out of hell?
Why, this is hell, nor am I out of it. Thinkest thou that I saw the face of God and tasted the eternal joys of heaven, am not tormented with 10,000 hells in being deprived of everlasting bliss? And he continues for a little bit, but the point is, even as they are in this place that is apparently the mortal world, it's no, I brought it with me. This is hell because I am here.
That's neat. That's a neat concept. I mean,
which is why I'm so what is your I want to put Asmodeus in a salad spinner and see what comes out. And do you want to do your Faustus bit?
It's just Faust.
Faust bit. Okay, yeah.
Okay, I was today years old when I learned that when you guys say Faust and we say Faust, we mean different pieces of work.
Question, is this the one by Goethe?
Yep, Goethe.
I fucking hated that play, I'm sorry.
Really? I mean,
I had to read it in English. I hated it.
No, I understand that. It is a bad, it is morally rotten to the core.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't going to say it.
No, it is.
I have read both Fausts. I just like the Marlowe better.
Mr. Goethe was going through some shit and projected some shit.
I took a course that was called Imagining Evil, which was English and German cross-listed. So we covered Paradise Lost and how do you pronounce his name properly?
Goethe.
Goethe? Okay.
Goethe, yes.
And Goethe's Faust. I'd read Marlowe's Faust in a history of theater class, and I'd also already read Paradise Lost a few times at that point.
Okay, up until today, I believe I was Dr. Faustus? Are you copying us? No, Goethe came later.
Yes, Marlowe got the idea from you guys, but it went back and forth a few times.
Yeah, Marlowe was before Goethe, and they both were inspired by the same sort of folk legend, so... It's always a dude who makes a deal with the devil, that's the gist of it. Just that the German dude was incessantly horny and uses it to fuck a 14-year-old.
Oh, God.
Boy, we have themes here.
Okay. Do you want to read that quote? Or
I
is
do.
The whole point of this?
This is the introduction.
Yes.
This is the introduction of Mephistopheles in this, which reminds me a lot of how Asmodeus also describes what he brought to the world. Just that Mephisto in our
Ooh.
Faust is owning it a lot more.
Oh, I love this. Okay, I don't speak German, so I'm gonna need a translation, but go for it.
German first. Ich bin der Geist, der stets verneint. Und das mit Recht, denn alles, was entsteht, ist wert, dass es zugrunde geht. Drum besser wär's, dass nichts entstünde. So denn ist alles, was ihr Sünde, Zerstörung, kurz das Böse nennt, mein eigentliches Element. So, I'm the spirit that denies.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I am the spirit that denies, and and rightfully so, because everything that is created is worthy of being destroyed. So it would be better if nothing was created at all.
Oh, yeah.
You remember this probably, right? This introductory monologue.
I don't remember this bit because I honestly skimmed the play because I got to a certain point and just went, this sucks, and started reading it at, like, top speed.
Yeah, the devil is the best part of it. Sadly, it's mostly about lionizing Faust.
I will also say I think we had one that broke a translation that broke the poetry.
Oh. Yeah, that's sad, because the poetry itself is like... The lyricism of this play fucks.
Oh yeah, no, when you read it, I went, holy shit, I really wish it sounded like this. I know it didn't. Translating poetry is really hard.
Yeah, so what he goes into here is that everything called sin, destruction, or evil is his element. Like, it's what he's made of, it's what he's brought. And this is basically how Asmodeus describes himself, right? Just, he's a lot more whiny about it.
Did you get the act and scene number? Because I know I'm pulling from Act 1, like, scene 3-ish.
Yeah, that's it, I think.
So we pulled from very,
because
they're different versions of the play. So he doesn't have, like, the multiple come and go
It's
bits.
the second scene in Faustus' study. No, the first scene in Faustus' study. It's the first one.
Cool.
Yes, he comes
I
in
need to
with
look at
his
this in
poodle.
my English copy at some point.
Yeah, Faust comes in with his poodle.
Coming in with a poodle is less stupid when you remember that we're talking about a standard poodle that is a hunting dog.
Yeah, it's
we
just
don't
a
mean a toy poodle.
Dog. Nope. Normal poodles are gigantic.
Yeah. And then finally, that comment Asmodeus made about not using Xerxes might be the only outright lie he tells.
Yeah.
Everything else is tilted, but that one is fully a lie.
It is. But he's also not wrong in saying that other people are kind of using Xerxes and especially lying to him.
Oh, absolutely not. That's actually what made me go, wait, hold on, let me check something. Because I caught that one and went, well, you're half lying. And then I went, hold on. No. Oh, you've been doing this the whole time. Shit. It's such a good way to play the character, and it makes it so clear, especially with the Wounded Deer act, how he falls for it. Like
it is enticing.
On the one hand, I am throttling Luis through this whole thing, and on the other hand, I'm leaning in, like, listening, and like you've heard how long we're talking about this. You saw that I went into like a text from the 1660s, which, to be fair, I do love very much, and will reach for it, like, the slightest provocation. But they did such a good job of making these characters understandable and compelling and interesting and making the devil charismatic.
Yeah, because the devil is presenting something enticing. And you can also, like, understand that the whole Wounded Gazelle gambit, the I am dying and you can save me, is of course playing to a specific audience, the audience being Xerxes. So this is very competently drawing him in.
Mr. I can fix everything myself. Yep. Mr. I'm going to try to banish Palor. Like, of course this is going to be the gambit. That makes sense.
This is playing to his every weakness. It is also very sexy.
Yes, which brings us to Lily teaches Jana a new word. I'm not going to read you the conversation we had because you have to get Patreon for that.
Yes, indeed. You can see the screenshot in the document.
I did end up teaching Jana what the word digmatized means because I used it and she'd never heard it before.
Nope.
So yeah. I did.
Is the dick out for this? Is this Asmodeus naked?
Here's the thing. I don't think he ever mentions it. Like, there are presumably sheets, and if someone had asked, Brennan probably would have said there was, like, an artfully draped sheet.
But also, the wounds get cleaned,
But
so
nobody
when you clean
asked.
someone, you probably remove that sheet, so the devil dick might have been in the scene.
He might have been fully necky.
Do you think it has horns?
But also, dickmatized is not necessarily a thing about, like, the actual penis, and more to do with the general, like, vibe. And the hopes of.
The hopes of penis. That makes sense.
Aspirational
Being
thing.
enticed by the prospect of dick.
And also, like, dick is a concept. Mostly because I can't think of a version of the word dickmatized that works with any other set of genitalia. If anyone has any suggestions, please do.
In the same way, it is in big dick energy.
Yes, exactly.
It's a metaphysical kind of dick.
Now let's get to possibly the least horny of these.
Yeah, so the final thing on our agenda here is like, wow, those disaster breadcrumbs sure got bigger.
I'm trying not to make a Hansel and Gretel joke. Being helped with the fact that I can't think of one. Yeah, so the Hall of Prophecy bit, we talked about that really briefly with the whole, like, we're just going to declare this false, but the actual prophecy itself just, like, it fucks.
It fucks.
So I'm going to read it, because I didn't before, because it was adding shit to the summary that we didn't need to add there, and I was going to talk about it here. So, the stars are leaving us. Our hands cannot reach the limbs of the tree, can no longer scribe the names of our deliverance. We will soon be as broken as our promises. Avaliers shall fall. All shall fall. And from our folly will the hands that forge the world banish themselves from the broken things they have made.
This fucks.
This is such, like, doing a prophecy in D&D is so hard. Because dice just take everything and throw it out the window.
Yeah.
So he had to keep it extremely vague.
But, like, I feel
while
like it's
including
easier.
Important information. And also making it terrifying.
I feel like this is easier to do in a prequel where you do know how things are going to work out, because if you know where this is going, this is very literal. Avalier shall fall. Yep, literally, down to the ground.
Yeah,
all shall fall. All flying cities, at least, and a lot of people.
Yeah. Also,
hands
like,
that forged the world will banish themselves. Hello, Divine Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to someone, like, hearing this in-world,
Mm-hmm.
like, in that first line, the stars are leaving us. Like, that is the one really metaphorical bit, but it calls back to that dream that Xerxes had.
Yeah.
And the effect is just, like,
it is
and we're going to see how this
prophecy
plays out over the next couple episodes, and we will talk about it. But, God, it's such a good setup. It's so well written, and, like, it's not in poetry, but the meter of it is so good.
Yes. Also, it brings back what might be the actual villain of this episode that is not the devil, lying wounded on a sheet, which is the fucking tree that just keeps coming up.
The thing that we think is the villain, that, like... Well, our hands cannot reach the limbs of the tree.
Yes.
The thing is, like, it sounds like to some people, like, oh, the tree is the problem. But if you actually, like, look at that and analyze it, it sounds like, oh, if we can get to the tree and, like, hold on to the tree, we'll be okay.
Yeah, but
especially when you combine that with the falling.
You can't get to the tree
which
because
actually
it's in a machine.
does hint at what the real problem is. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But also, like, the tree gets taken out of our reach by someone's doing certain spells. We'll get there.
Oh, will we?
It's such a well done bit of prophecy.
It is.
I love it.
Just really, really good.
So, also, the 2-week time frame.
Yeah. Oh, wow. A lot of shit went down 2 weeks ago.
Fuck!
One hell of a fortnight.
We go from no worshippers of the betrayers to here's a Knauf, here's a plot infiltrating the Magisterium that started who knows when. Like, Vespin did his thing, the dominoes are falling, and we can't get out of the way!
What? Yeah, so parts of this have been in motion for literal years. Like, we find the recordings which just have the key conspirators hanging out with each other in the background from, like, 8 years ago. And then suddenly, 2 weeks ago, Vespin did his thing. The oracles went mad, in big air quotes. And the Knauf was made and got to, like, that was one fast-growing cancer. Just putting that out there. I mean, a couple of those. Don't write Infernal on your skin, children. Doesn't end well for you, apparently.
What do we miss? What do we miss?
I mean, the next point on this is, like, the next thing we know is, like, what we just talked about, that the arboreal calyx and the tree inside it are just suddenly a very central focus point of all of this.
Yeah, which is such a cool name, by the way, but we'll get to that in...
I mean, arboreal just means tree-related.
Yeah. Yeah, and calyx. Calyx is actually a word. What the hell?
I find it interesting that a lot of this,
I think it's spelled different.
a lot of the civilization is stooped in Latin. Again, the arboreal calyx, for example. Most of the names.
Yeah.
But there's also a couple choice names of Japanese thrown in there.
And calyx is Greek.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
What was the Japanese?
Madara, for example, is a Japanese... I'm not sure if it's a name or a word. It was a character in Naruto. And the assistant that gets murderized at the end of the episode, live on the phone, was like called Akami or Akemi, which is a Japanese first name.
Oh yeah, Akami-ro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so...
Oh.
I noticed
fun.
a couple more in the first episode that I don't remember, but they just... I mean, the fact that Japanese...
Oh my god! I just looked up what calyx means.
Yes?
In botany, it's the sepals of a flower forming a whorl that encloses the petals and forms a protective layer around the flower in a bud.
What the fuck?
It gets taken into Latin. What?
No, petals engulfing someone. You remember what he says about the dream with petals and Evandrin?
Oh, yeah. But it means a protective layer.
Mm-hmm.
From Greek calyx, case of a bud or husk, related to word I can't pronounce, calatian something, meaning to hide, as in or the thing that arboreal calyx, the thing that hides and protects the tree.
That is very literal.
It does exactly what it says on the tin.
That is extremely literal.
DMs, just translate shit when you need to. It works.
Latin and Greek always sound fancy.
And on that note, are we ready to move on to the final portion of the segment?
I guess we are.
Episode. I feel good about this.
Yeah. Neat.
So,
the Purvan Scale.
that brings us to the P in Purvan stands for pizzazz. Which is where we get Matt and Brendan playing Legos together, making a battle map. And the minis get to come out.
Yes, a couple of them.
Outfits are fantastic.
Oh, of course they are.
Almost all of them.
Also, Brendan plays with the lighting a lot more. Not a lot more, but a lot again.
Yeah, they gave him a rocket ship.
He did. And he knows how to use it. Yeah. I feel we also need to acknowledge how well dressed some of these people are. Not sure whether we count Sam in here,
yes.
but we definitely count loose earrings.
Yeah. I want to count Lewis's jacket. I liked it. I like a good leather jacket. I have a leather jacket.
I too have a leather jacket.
Can it get cooler again?
Yes, please.
I want jacket. Listen, I don't want to go back to work, but I do want it to get cooler. Can we make this happen?
I'm with you. I want it to be like just generally 10 degrees cooler in Celsius.
Coolio. So, Pizzazz, last time we gave them a 3.5. Do we feel like they went up? Stayed the same? Definitely didn't go down.
It didn't go down. I don't know. Do you feel they went up or stayed the same?
I don't feel like they went up enough for me to add any more points, considering how close to the top we are.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, we have some more cool outfits, but I think the cool outfits alone don't really make it until we hit, like, full cosplay levels.
Which we could argue is where Sam is at, but we don't acknowledge that.
Sam is at it, but Sam is also making me want to hide him on the screen.
Sam is making me consider whether it would have been better to take off the undershirt he's wearing or not.
No!
You can see the outlines of his, like, white undershirt, and...
I'm very okay with being able to see the outlines of the undershirt if you can't see anything else.
I'm not entirely sure we would have seen anything else if he hadn't worn it.
I don't want to see his nip-nops.
I'm not entirely sure whether you could have.
I don't want to find out. Honestly, I bet that's why he put it on, because no nipples on Twitch. Anyway,
they made him put this on before he went on stream. I think
he put it on, looked at it, and went, "Ha!"
School T-shirts to girls with spaghetti straps. You want to be here? Jesus, put this on now.
Okay, your turn.
The U is.
Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, are we keeping the 3.5?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think
cool.
You've made a good point, and I'm there with you. Not going up, not going down is fine.
Awesome sauce.
Okay. The U is for uncomfortableness. Yeah, you pointed out the yelling, the devil yells at you, and it is a little shocking. And in the philosophy of stage yelling, he is on the line.
Yeah.
He is like Silas on the line, but not in the fix-him place. The fix-him place is going to come later.
Oh, I remember you referencing that and just going, I thought that was fantastic. I was really in it. That didn't bother me at all. But I also actually have a pretty high threshold for the yelling place.
Okay.
So I'm maybe not the metric to use for this.
Yeah, no, the yelling only really bothers me when it crosses the threshold. When it goes to the Orion places, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well that's a place of disrespect. The fix-him place was a place of emotion.
The fix-him place was a place of emotion that was very close to going beyond the suspension of disbelief. You know what I mean? That was...
Not really.
Okay. And I wouldn't give them uncomfortableness for the yelling here.
No, me neither. Did they have to cover any really complicated or stressful topics that they do really well?
I mean, but they just very casually mind wipe people, apparently.
Which is They're
our heroes.
I personally don't think we need to do anything about the whole Xerxes and Asmodeus scene here.
Nope.
But I will say maybe drop this to a flat 0.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything too
just a
disturbing
whole lot of nothing.
Given the premise, but also nothing to give them credit for, really.
Yeah, and it's also if you've gotten through the first episode, you know how much mind magic you're dealing with.
True, yes. I mean, again, just given the premise.
But it also doesn't make it good.
There is the very fun part where Portia is like, well, if you managed to get mind manipulated as a wizard, you deserved it.
Yeah, that...
Poor Madara.
Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure that's a wisdom saving throw, not intelligence.
No, the failure was on part of not having a ring ready, I guess, which is very neoliberal of her. Oh, you can't afford this protection garment? That is... Yeah.
I don't... Yeah, no. Role-playing realness.
Is what the R stands for.
It's the R in the Purvan Scale. I loved the whole scene with Laren, and especially Laren and Nidus at the Layrite, and the details she's pulling out. And the closeness with Laren and Nidus, and just everything being so good, and also it's beautiful! It was very fun.
How is Laren the heart of this friend group? And has anybody told her that?
Very easily, probably not.
I don't think she knows this, but she is.
Wait, heart of this friend group in that the head heart hand center idea, or heart as in everyone attaches to?
Everyone attaches to her, or
okay, almost everyone.
Who doesn't?
I mean, I think you mentioned this elsewhere, and it didn't actually end up getting shuffled into our notes. But Sarah probably got pulled in to make sure that they weren't going to be in danger of the wizard killing bird.
But whose call do you think that was?
Loquacious married in. Probably, honestly, probably Paisha's. But also, I don't think Laren took much convincing.
Yeah, I think Laren was like, "Oh, this dude is an issue," and Paisha is like, "Well,
we can befriend him." And it's sure. Because, we've looked at Laren's 11, I think it's 11 charisma.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Which is wild from an Abria Iyengar character. Ma'am, I don't think you're capable of playing low charisma.
Nope. God, speaking of which. Nidus! Just... He just plays Nidus with, This conviction, like, he does really overpower you with the force of his personality of the character. Just
the easy way he takes up that space at the table and in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you can watch Nidus move into a room and the room rearranges.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's so good.
I also really liked the sympathy for the Knauf and the praying over the body.
Yeah.
Sympathy for the dead will always, like, get me. Especially sympathy for, like, your enemy that has died in a horrible way.
Yeah, and also the way this ties into just the headspace that Xerxes is at.
Yeah, it's such a good character moment.
The divorced
also,
roleplay.
Larry and Paisha being friends.
Oh yeah, they're just those bitches. They're those bitches.
I don't pay attention to people dumber than me. That is incredibly fair.
Indeed. The divorced roleplay.
I can't do good impressions of
always
either of them, but I'm trying.
What do you say?
I can't do impressions of either of them well, but I try.
Oh well.
Oh yeah, the divorce roleplay. I'm not from New Jersey. I'm sorry to anyone who is from New Jersey who just had to listen to that. God.
Yeah. I would also say that, like,
petty little shit. Oh.
I feel like Sam is playing the idiot, playing an entirely different game from everyone else on purpose and very well. Like, in the game, like, everyone plays chess and he's playing checkers.
Mm.
Like, he just takes a little bit longer.
Then somehow.
Yes?
Yeah. Yeah. Although, I do think some of that is just Sam.
Maybe.
He's very, very good at, like, things just coming up on him and going, huh?
Yeah, he, like, oscillates between this and between being, off-puttingly clever about some things.
His brain is so full of bits.
Yeah, I think that's the actual problem with Sam.
Like, he is far from unintelligent.
He is probably the best at math at the table, usually, in a regular episode of Critical Role.
Yes.
Not that that's hard, but he is.
I think his thing is that he spends so much time spinning things and making them go clicky-click that sometimes he tries to make things go clicky-click that shouldn't go click.
That is a very good way of putting it.
Which would more or less account for what wound up happening with Loquacious earlier. But, no, it's good. And, of course...
Yeah.
I love the little note of Loquacious' pre-recorded announcement of Eldemir's death.
Just, wow. Better have that ready.
I mean, we met the guy. He's gonna sneeze one too hard. I just tried to say 3 different things at the same time. He's going to sneeze too hard one day, and then we're gonna need to play that.
I mean, yeah, it's fair. But it's also just, like, hilarious that they have these pre-recorded stuff for this. Just ready to go.
Just here. And of course, the entire Asmodeus Xerxes bit that I had to yell about for, I think that was, like,
yeah.
really...
that was the main event of both this episode of the podcast and also this episode of the show. Just, here we are.
As it should be. So, do we want to go up from next time, or do we want to stay?
I think we go up from last time.
Did I say next time? I meant... Yeah.
We're probably also going up from next
4.5?
time, but because next time is going to be a lot of fighting. Though, no,
that's true.
Some very key character choices are made next time, too, so that might...
Yeah. We'll see. But I'm feeling a 4.5. How are you feeling?
4.5 looks great to me.
I haven't cried yet.
Okay.
I did have to get up and pace, but I did not cry.
Is it crying for episode 3 or episode 4?
Probably episode 4.
Alright.
Okay.
It has fallen to me again, huh? The V in Purvan is for world building. Which we had less of than last time, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's definitely I think it's gonna go down, but we do have the whole Calyx bit and also the name. Beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a bit lore dumpy, but with enough emotional charge that it made it, like, fun to chew through.
Mm-hmm.
And it was extremely important information.
It was. And, like, it didn't really detract from the scene. Did it?
No,
I don't think it did.
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah, and,
I think it slowed it. I think it would have been, but I don't think there's another way to really get that information in there. So, and I think he did a good job of managing it and keeping the emotional.
Yeah.
I'm going to read this next bullet point verbatim because I don't have a better way to phrase this. I am normal and calm about the canal floor, I say, lying.
In all caps.
Yep.
She is normal, calm, and lying in all caps.
The Eldritch Horror, the whole thing about the belief about being the fuel of the gods thing, which I don't even think that's a theory anymore. I think that did get confirmed at some point. I don't really remember.
And it is the most fun way to do gods.
It's very good. It is. And it feels like very cohesive world building, and I like it. And also, like, the linguistics of it all. Canal not just meaning, like, it's the infernal word for cleric. Like, no, it means puppet.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's very clear that this guy is, like, he basically speed ran what is required of a cleric, and it broke his mind. And body. And soul. Yeah. And probably other parts.
And actually, and notably, he speed ran what was required of a fairly low-level cleric.
Yeah, he speed ran the first encounter in your opening adventure.
I mean, he had, like, a level 2 for invisibility, but that makes him, what, level 3?
Yeah, that makes him what you usually start out with, because
so 3 levels of Betrayer Cleric done too quickly does that to you? What the... Hey, what the hell?
Cool and normal.
Oh, the world building implications are so cool.
Cool and normal.
And, like, it's actually a really interesting way of looking at, like, that thing where adventurers end up with, like, 100 times the hit points of a normal person.
Yeah.
Maybe this is why.
Yeah.
This done slowly and correctly.
I mean,
actually toughens you up.
Coming into this at your own pace, even if your own pace is like 1 level a day due to encounters, versus having this forced and thrust upon you and your unprepared mind breaks you.
Yeah. Oh my god. I love the ripple effects. I love everything about this bit of world building. It's beautiful.
Yep.
I also really enjoyed... I'm going to improvise an important piece of canon right now. Thanks, Brennan. It's a big swing and it worked.
It sure did.
And this is referring to, like, I'm going to say no, there are no worshippers of the Betrayer gods. So I don't think this is the full 5. This does feel very good to me. But I don't know exactly where I want to put this. What about, how are you feeling?
We gave the 5 last time.
Yeah.
I would put this, like, at a 4 or 3.5, I think.
3.5?
Yeah, if that sounds right to you.
Yeah, because I don't know, like, I have no idea where the next 2 are going to hit. I feel like this is... Yeah, this feels good.
Okay. Then we're giving this a 3.5.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that in. Okay.
The A in Purvan stands for action.
Well...
Not a lot of it.
No, we had one very short and very decisive round of combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think gets it more than last time. I really enjoyed that the combat was exactly what needed to be there. Mm-hmm. I really like that he put 1 level, like, 11 wizard up against 2 level 14s. This was never supposed to be a hard encounter.
No. No, it was not. Also, I will just say that the whole to whom it may concern fireball thing is like, mwah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny.
Yeah. The sexiest the wizard has ever been.
Yes. Well, Delilah. But it's very good.
Yes.
Look, I really like Delilah Briarwood.
No, that's fair.
I also find the mechanical chain of detect magic plus that way plus fireball to get around invisibility to be just beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
And it was really fun.
You know how to get a concentration check from someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
All you need.
Never mind trying to aim dispel magics. Never mind trying to, like, flail around forever. Fuck it. Area of effect. I don't care about this office.
Seriously. It's gaudy anyways. I mean, wasn't she already pissed off about these people having nicer places of work than she does? That makes sense.
Yeah, honestly. So, just a nice one.
Yeah, sure. Also, I loved the small bit they got into with the construct that she awakened, who was like touched and like proud of being the one who was chosen by the Architect Arcane, and I have been named. That's not canon, is it? But
No, I'm counting it as canon. He said it at the table. They weren't laughing. Well, they were, but they weren't like. They didn't go, no, that's not a thing. It wasn't in the tone of a joke. It was, little baby statue.
Aww. Yeah, so, I think that's it. Yeah, of course, that was the one encounter that we stopped before we got to the next one.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the final point of the Purvan Scale, which is the N for 9 cents. Which we still have no time for, actually.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of light goofiness, but it's...
Yeah,
honestly, just like, it's so clearly I need to shake off some tension.
But that's the bad thing. There's also maybe the beverage ball thing.
Yeah,
God, I also
again,
just
that gets
point.
It worked in the roleplay.
I do love that Portia just gets Loquacious a fancy cup with surprise beverage to distract him. He's also just there because he's a useful idiot.
Toy in the car. Trophy husband,
useful idiot who is allowed to stay around because he is useful. Not because we think he can. He's like, he can really contribute anything, but it's good to have access to his resources.
Set.
Yeah, so, like, did we give the last one anything?
We gave the last one a 0.
I think this is still applicable.
Yeah. I think that's...
Okay.
Yeah, I think, because we had that whole comment about the format, so that's 4.5.
11.5, 12.5? I think I got 12.5.
Hold on. It's 3.7, 11.5. Yep. Which is about how I feel about this one. Like, I didn't feel as, like, thunked around the head with this as I did on the last one. But it was very good. Well, no, I felt very thunked around the head by one very specific part of this.
Yeah.
Jana?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I'm with you. I mean, I feel like the last one had a lot of stuff thrown at you to set things up, but this is the story in motion. So, on one hand, there's going to be less, oh my god, the implications of this world, and more of, oh my god, the plot that is happening. So, this just shifts priorities.
Yeah, and I do believe that we upped the role-playing realness, we downed the world-building. Of
course
exactly
we did. Like, makes sense.
Look, this is a good scale. It's extremely subjective, but it's a good scale. And I like it.
Aww. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that next episode we're going to tremendously up the action points.
You think?
I don't know, I just have a hunch.
Maybe?
An oracle told me, but it might have been a wrong prediction.
So is that our opinion for this episode? When you get a prophecy, you either pick it or... Oh, no, fuck it. I fumbled that really badly. Bail!
She's bailing!
Opinion for this episode.
If the fortune cookie doesn't give you the answer that you want, it's the fortune cookie's fault.
I like that one. Alright. Bye!
Okay, right, bye. I just went with the oracle point in metaphors and edible stuff. Oh. And just as a quick add-in, thank you very much for listening, thank you to Current Sun for our music, and thank you to Lulafia for the super cute art she made for this in a day. Yeah, you can check out the notes we reference and the pre-conversation we reference on the Patreon. There you can also have early access and other fun perks. Thank you very much for listening. Bye!
Bye!